Hi and welcome to the SohoLIFF Spotlights. I'm Liz Farahadi and I'm really delighted today to be joined by the wonderful director and producer and editor and generally filmmaker, Howard J. Ford. So welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh
I'm
my God,
excited.
it's absolute pleasure. Now, I mean, we had to get you in because you are like the independent filmmaker who never stops making films.
Do you know, it's my ambition to have a break, but I just never get around to doing it. So, I'm just finishing my 11th feature film as a director. So, yes, I have been busy and lots going on.
I mean, so many filmmakers are there desperately trying to get that first feature made, and you're just knocking them out now, which is incredible.
Yeah. It feels like knocking them out, but for everyone I knock out, there's probably 3 that don't get made. So it's a bit like that. Those are the ones you might not hear about. But yes, it has been fairly back to back, and I had a couple of successes, early on with, I think it was my 3rd feature in horror, The Dead, and then that also had a bit of a global success, so things came a bit faster after
You got to make a sequel with that as well.
We did. We made the first one in Africa, which nearly killed the whole cast and crew. Like malaria, got mugged at knife point, held at gunpoint by police.
No!
Often we didn't make it to the location. Lead actor got cerebral malaria and he died. It's on a drip, and this is filmmaking, right? It's chaos. Filmmaking is just controlled chaos. So that movie, but then it had a bit of something because it was a horror movie, zombie movie in Africa. It did very well, and then we decided to make the sequel, kind of to get paid properly for the first one. So we didn't go back to Africa, although I love Africa. It's very good. I go back there sometimes to make commercials, beautiful. But we went to India, made the sequel there. So yeah, but it takes me around the world, this filmmaking thing.
Yeah, it really does. And when you write something, do you go, right, I'm going to make this in this country? Does that influence the story, or does the story come first?
It's a great question, Liz. I have to say, there are, and I think there is something about finding a brilliant location. I feel for me, locations are sometimes like a part of a character. And I feel I owe it to audiences to take them on a bit of a journey. Let's face it, most people watching stuff, they're probably in a room right now watching this. They're in a room, there are walls around them. It may not be the most interesting location ever, right? So I think as a filmmaker, you're making cinema, even if you don't get it on the big screen in the end always. So take your audiences on a bit of a journey. So if I'm in a room thinking, I want to write this, do I write this man depressed in a dingy bedsit? Or do I write someone goes to this incredible mountainous location? Which one appeals to me? Life is short. I want to go to that. I want to go to the incredible locations, and I want to take you there with me. That's the thing.
I like that. So I'm going to back up a minute. Let's go back to the start. So your background, am I right in saying your background is commercials?
Well, you're right and you're wrong, because I actually, the commercials came a little bit later. I'd done my 2nd feature film before I did my first commercial. So I made my first feature when I was 21. Prior to that, I'd made 7 short films, which some of them were absolutely terrible. I mean, I really hope they never see the light of day. But my brother and I went out when I was 13 years old, and he would have been 14, and we went out and we bought Super 8 cine camera, and we just got mates as actors. I was in it. We were all like, whoever we could rope in to come and work for free at the weekend, and we would make these short movies. And the first ones were abysmal. But we learned by our mistakes, and you'd wait 30 days to get the roll of film back at the time from Kodak or whatever, and then we'd put this thing on a projector, and that's how we started. And then I'd look at it and I'd go, why does that not look like James Bond? What is going wrong? What am I doing wrong? They're moving the camera. They've got this. So we just started to add these things in, and then just got, I hope, a little bit better over the years.
So, short films basically were your absolute foundation then?
They were, yeah, absolutely. And I think I would recommend anyone, you want to get into a feature. Here's the thing, it's the short films in a way to show your skill, Someone's going to invest, movies cost money. It doesn't matter if we're making a movie about a glass of water on a table. You've still got to light the glass of water. You've got to have a location in which to put it. You've got to have, you know what I mean? You've got to have stuff around. They cost money no matter which way you cut it. And if you don't spend, money on production, you also will in post-production, and then delivering the films is a whole other ball game. But so I feel you've got to show you've got you've got to show you've got something that's investable. So having a short movie. The other thing is you can go into wonderful film festivals and and win awards and also network with people during that process. So it's really is an important thing, and it's like a calling card. It's a classic thing to say, but it is true. If you want to go and make a gangster movie or whatever it is, and you say, hey, I've made this little rom-com, but I want £1 million for a gangster movie. It's a tough sell. You've got to have what you want to do as a feature in a way, as a short, to show, you don't have to do that, but that's a way in.
But like a proof of concept.
Yeah. And proof of your ability to actually do it, shoot it and deliver it and, have something that looks good. Fingers crossed.
So you mentioned your brother.
Yes.
Because you both worked together. You were the Ford brothers.
Well, we had Ford
you?
brothers. We had a bit of a thing at the time. Once they called us the new Ridley and Tony Scott, but only once. That was good for a while. I did a shift did about a decade. I've done as a director probably about 300 and something commercials, lost count. But and my brother was DOP, sometimes directing as well, and he's directed a couple of feature films too. We're not working together at the moment. It's so funny. Those Dead movies, those movies, the Ford brothers, The Dead and The Dead 2. I mean, look. We worked with some wonderful people, had some great times, but they were kind of hell on earth.
Why?
Tell me. We decided. You know what? I mean, we decided. I mean, it's my fault, perhaps more than anyone, but that to go. We thought, right, let's take audiences on a journey into locations they've never ever seen before, because we thought, right, when we had the idea to do this, go back to the roots of zombie movies and the Living Dead movies, and we thought, let's go and take them on a journey to locations they've never ever seen. So I thought, because everyone goes to let's do Africa, they'll go to South Africa, a wonderful place with wonderful lights, wonderful hotels and great facilities, and then dip into a bit of Africa. Show it. No, we wanted to go to villages that didn't have electricity, water, and just take a whole bunch of people, ship a load of stuff out to Africa and go on a road trip across. You know what? It wasn't perhaps the cleverest thing to do. It was. I've even written a book about it called "Surviving the Dead." I'm not here to pump my book; it's out of print now. But it was that crazy, this experience. I got back and I just sat in a coffee shop and I thought, I've got to write this down. It's so unbelievable what happened to us, and I'll burn it in some ritualistic thing. But then I never did, and I thought I put it out as a book in the end But we just wanted to do something really different that no one had ever seen before, and I think that's important too, Even if it damn near kills you.
Well, it's maverick, isn't it?
Yeah, you got to. Life's short. You got to get out there, do something.
Yeah.
That's the thing with whatever you are going to do. You've got to really commit yourself to it. I think you can't dip in and out of movies unless you're sitting here right now and you have made a movie. You have absolutely no idea how hard it is. It's really hard. Today, doing interviews, you've got to get a lot of stuff together. You've got to get so much stuff together, organise so much stuff. It's like saying you've got to organise a wedding every single day for 6 weeks. That's kind of what it's like. And some, location, the flowers, the props, you know what I mean? All the stuff has to happen in a certain way. It's tough. You've got to have something, I think you've got to do it and you've got to be committed to it, but hopefully give audiences something they want to see.
Absolutely. And you're renowned for creating these tense, thrilling moments in the films. How do you do that? Is that does that come out in the edit with the music, all of that? Is it actually the filming of it?
Well, I think it's hopefully a bit of both. I mean, definitely, music makes a massive difference to drama and action and all of these things. So the sort of you've got to know that stuff is coming. As in a filmmaker, you've got to know. Right, that stuff is going to come later. You can polish it up with that. For me, I tend to sit there and try and if I'm writing the script, which in sort of 70% of the movies I've done, and I've done 11 of those now, I have written the script for, not all of them. So I'll sit there and write what is the circumstances that is extreme. I think drama is sort of tension. It's even if someone's having a conversation on the couch, you kind of have to have a bit of conflict in there. Conflict, and so I try and take it to the extreme. Like in Escape, I've got a movie about 10 women who have been sex trafficked by some god awful men, and these girls have got to break out and free themselves and take down the men. That's extreme. That's extreme stuff. And so I kind of want to sit down and think, well, I want to make something that is exciting, and with that particular film. I camera operated, ran around with a gimbal. I was running around the desert. We went out to We were in the Canary Islands. We went to the deserts and things like that. And I was running around, so I'm trying to do it with the camera work. And when I'm camera operating as well as directing, which I'm not always doing, I'm trying to feel it. If I'm doing a violent scene or something, and the cameras, I want to make it look like the camera, man or woman, didn't know what the hell was going to happen. It's undisciplined, it's unfocused, it matches the situation. If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, no, that's really interesting. So, I suppose as well, as much as taking on all the roles like you do, which has got to be much harder, but in a way that gives you an advantage, gives your films an edge.
It's a really great point, because I don't always do that. So I went from an extreme where I made a movie during lockdown, called The Lockdown Hauntings.
I was going to ask you about this.
Which has got Tony Todd as the Candyman, who I'd met before, a
Yeah.
great guy, and it's got like 40 actors in it. Anyway, basically, I was there, and quick one about this, because we don't want to talk about lockdown. It's horrible. But it did happen, and
but it is good to talk about, because so many people stopped, life stopped, but you didn't. You
I'm an
created
impatient
this-
sod. I can't sit around for too long. I can't, and I'm not that great at sort of sitting there or even talking about it. Whatever. I rather do than. I'm enjoying this, Liz, because you're fantastic. But I don't really generally
I look
like to
wounded then.
No, let's just clear that up. But I like to get on with it and do it. I don't like to talk about something and it doesn't happen. And I think if you do that too much, you get a reputation as someone who talks about stuff and doesn't happen. And you can only do that for a certain amount of time. I was there in lockdown. I was about 2 weeks in. I sat there and it was all grim and everything else. I just done a family movie. Hey, one movie called
With your
Adventure.
sons?
I did.
Yes.
I'm in that far too much. And I normally give myself little cameos, but we'd done this family movie, and the tagline was "Get off your device and get out there." Because I made the movie prior to COVID. The disaster I saw in the world was everyone was just walking around doing this. Kids are walking around doing this. They're carrying around in a pram doing this. Like, what is that? It's a disaster. So I thought, my two boys, and we used to go on bikes and do stuff or whatever, and they started to get interested in iPads and YouTube and what I mean, all that stuff.
Yes.
So I just thought, right, let's make this movie to get them off these things. And anyway, I'd made this, I hope, very positive and fun movie called Adventure Boys. And the week it was being released, bizarrely, and our tagline was "Get off your device and get out there." Literally, the week it came out was the week of COVID.
Oh God!
So we had all this stuff happening. We'd managed to get it in cinemas, a few cinemas, and we had all this stuff going on. We were going to, go around doing tours about the film and talk about it, show the trailer. Anyway, so I was locked down, and this thing was basically a disaster. So I was sat there for a couple of weeks, and I thought, as a filmmaker, you've got to use what you've got. If you've got a brilliant location, go and use that. Write that, and I'll make my point about where I'm heading with this. If you've got an amazing car, like whatever. I had a Gran Torino, actually, same one as Clint Eastwood movie, which I'd gone and bought in America. So I had these things, and I used them for this movie, Adventure Boys. And so I then thought, okay, what have I actually got right now? I'm stuck in lockdown. Well, there's fear, there's anxiety, there's isolation. That's what I've got. What can I make a film with fear, anxiety, and isolation? So, and I thought, what else have I got? I've got loads of actors stuck at home. I bet these actors would like to act. They can't go and make a movie. So I put a little thing on social media, and I said, actors, if I was to make a movie, just me, and I could come and film it in your home and stay, 2 meters apart from you, would you want to do it? I had like hundreds of people. I thought I might get like a handful of people, like hundreds of people, like, yeah, I definitely want to do it. So I very quickly came up with the scenario, which was, I thought, well, I can't really bring too many people. I have to go and do this on my own. So I thought, what if I have a ghost thing? Hey, you don't have to have anything when there's a ghost. You just have a bit of fishing wire pulling a prop that falls over. And that's,
Don't ruin it for me.
I don't want to spoil the illusion. But I thought I could do that stuff. And I checked out the old school, like The Exorcist, The Omen, and I was like, they did their things with fishing wire. I remember the scene in The Exorcist where Ellen Burstyn, brilliant actress, this chest of drawers comes over her and she's like, it is terrifying. I remember being terrified. I saw it at the cinema. And I saw the making of it. It's just some greasy gaffer. He might not have been greasy, but he might have been. And he was just pushing this drawer repeatedly across the room. And I think, it's kind of a shame, but I thought, I can do that. I could push a drawer, I can do this. So I thought, let's have this scenario where a ghost is coming and haunting people stuck in lockdown. because I've got lockdown. So that's what I did. I just got in a car, filled it full of equipment, took drones. I didn't just do it handheld. I took tracking equipment, sliders and all this stuff. And I thought, can I make a movie in lockdown? And then Tony Todd, who was in America.
Yeah.
So I thought, I need a horror name. Tony Todd. I messaged his agent and said, would he be up? I need someone who's big in horror. And I said, would he be up for doing this? And I'll shoot his bit by Zoom. But he'll talk to actors who are doing stuff in the room. He's investigating a ghost. Anyway, don't want to talk the whole time about this, but the fact was I'd gone from a movie where I had no one else, no crew. I did the sound, I did everything. Everything on that movie. There was one person and there was just actors. And it's been released around the world. And so I went from that, and then when COVID had gone kind of thing, I made The Ledge, which had 64 crew members. Did well on Netflix, it got to number 6 on Netflix, etc. So I'd gone from a movie where I had literally done everything to a movie where I literally, it took me 10 minutes to walk past the vans in the morning to get to the set. And there were 64 people before we put an actor in front of the camera. Different beasts. You've got to learn how to work within those different confines. But it's useful as a director to know all the jobs, to know what everyone does. It's a useful thing to have.
And obviously, you've been doing this for a while now. And over the time, have the audiences changed?
I think the audience has changed because the way we see films has changed as well, I definitely I wanted to make movies in the beginning because I went to a cinema and I was blown away by the experience. I kind of knew I was safe in my seat watching, I don't know, Moonraker or something, or some Bond movie at the time. I knew I was kind of safe, yet there I was terrified. So that's, a feeling, or whatever, and I thought that's what I want to do, I want to give other people that experience. I think that's how I got kind of into it. And so I think the way we watch, it's not even I think, we know the way we watch movies is generally changed. Yeah. So I think now you have to be conscious of what you can get through that system and what people might watch.
Yeah. So I want to go back again.
Yeah.
You were doing the shorts.
Yeah.
That was like your calling card. Is that how you then started being able to build up, getting them funded? Like how did you get that first feature made? Yeah,
great question. And it was my after these terrible shorts did get a little bit better, and then made one particular short film that won 7 film festivals. So it was my 7th short and it won 7 film festivals. I don't know if there's any significance. Some people believe in numbers, but anyway, so we suddenly had all of a sudden I was an award-winning filmmaker.
Right.
Ooh, add that to the CV pretty swiftly. And not only that, other people had given us merit, and I had certificates and a shield, and I don't know what we had, bunch of stuff. Free DVD player was one of the things at the time. Woo. Anyway, so all of a sudden we're like, okay, someone's liked it enough to give us an award. So we were able to then take our award-winning status, and we put a sort of pack together. At the time, it was like, and you could do it. People are doing it now all the time. Before they make the movie, they're putting this sort of pack together, which is normally 5, 6, 7 page thing that shows what the film is about. So we kind of did that at the time. I didn't really even know it was a thing, and we just decided there's the synopsis of this gangster movie we wanted to make. And believe it or not, at the time we were offered Idris Elba as an actor, and I kid you not, we didn't cast him. I should not say this on camera. It's the most insane thing that ever happened. He'd done London's Burning in the Bill, and he was actually really good, but for some reason we did. Anyway, look, we were putting this thing together, and we basically selected the actors we were going to use, or we thought we were going to use, and we took it to financiers. And that's when I kind of realised there were also, there's some wonderful people out there who might back a movie, but there are many, many people out there that might give you the impression they're going to invest in your movie, but they may not. There was a lot of people who was like, yeah, $1 million or whatever, that's no problem. $1 million is always a problem. It's tough to get it. So we went through we did about a year or so, year and a half, sort of going around to people who technically might have had the money to put in. We'd meet them and we'd show them the short, and then we'd say, hey, this is what we want to do, this is the budget, and we'd come up with a budget, we'd come up with a few, there's another movie that was good, that did well, we did that.
Yeah, the comparative.
And that's how we did it. So it was And in the end, we didn't get the full budget we wanted for this movie. It was called The End of the Line, I think, and that should have been the clue, right? We ended up getting something like 10%. We raised some equity, we raised some money, and it was like 10% of what we actually wanted. So in the end, we felt we couldn't make that film. We decided to make another film that was cheaper. So we took out all the expensive stuff, and then we went and made this movie on 10% of the budget.
Right.
That was the first feature.
So it was being flexible. This is what we've got, so we're going to make it here.
Adapt.
And then from that, did that then give you the legs to get the next?
Sort of. I have to say, it wasn't, the first one wasn't a runaway success. But in some ways, I would say it was a huge learning curve. The first feature.
It was a different beast, isn't it?
Totally
Doing
a different.
To a short.
Trying to stretch out 90 minutes, and I don't think we even managed. It was about 80 minutes or something like that. So 82 minutes or whatever. It was really a completely different discipline, and it was a slog, and it was tough. And we were shooting on film. We were shooting on celluloid. I think it was Super 16 at the time. It was tough, and we learnt our lessons on distribution-wise as well, because you then got to take your finished movie, to people to sell it, and I'm afraid there's a lot of people who sell movies out there who are not that keen to fire the money towards the filmmakers. I think they'd rather keep it in their bank accounts, and so we started to experience a bit of that as well. Getting ripped off by distributors. Painful lesson.
Right. So would you say then, working with a distributor from the beginning, with them being part of raising the investment, is better?
I think it's great if you are. Yeah, I would say there are different ways. For example, if someone's gonna, at least you're not scraping around for the money. If you're making it with a distributor who's putting up, and they normally put up what is called an MG, a minimum guarantee. That might, and even if they do that. And if you're lucky enough to do that, and they've got to have a good reason to do that, because they've got to think they're going to be able to distribute this film. It might be because you have a name actor. That's the classic thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
All of these issues, and if you've got a very famous actor, if you're lucky enough to have a very famous actor in it, and you can have that actor, and that actor says, yes, I will be in your movie. I like the script. I'll be in it. Letter of intent or whatever you can get. That helps massively on a huge. Huge part of the battle of getting a movie made. So if you've got that, brilliant, then you might be able to take it to a distributor, probably a US distributor, because they are, a big portion of the market, and get a minimum guarantee. Often you have to do that via a sales agent who will have the relationships with the distributor. So you find hopefully a trusted sales agent who can do that deal for you on a commission base.
Do you have any tips for people?
Well, there are. It's a tricky one, because there are so many stories out there about filmmakers, having tricky situations with collecting money, and you never know if that's the distributor, the sales agent, whatever. I wouldn't want to name names. I've had a couple of bad experiences in the past, but I've hopefully found people now that are more trustworthy and will support
taking experience.
Yeah. And also, you check them out. If you're going to sign with a sales agent to sell your movie, ask them see the other movies they've distributed or they've sold. Check these people out on IMDb. See if they've got an email address and go, hey, I'm thinking of selling my movie with so and so sales agency. What would you say about them?
Yeah, it's really.
And if they email us, if you find them, I'll be strangling them. Then you go, okay, fine, this is it. And that's half the time what you get. Honestly, it's ridiculous.
No, that's really good advice. We've got to wind up, unfortunately.
Yeah, I do talk a lot.
But have you got any other advice? Because this is brilliant advice that you've given. Have you got any other advice that you could give to people out there who are trying to get their films made? Yeah,
again, back to one thing is use what you have. If you're going to sit in a room and write a script, and you're going to write huge things in it that are going to be expensive to get, it's a huge. You're giving yourself such a massive battle. Use something. If you've got a friend who's got a great location, or if you know someone who owns this or will let you use that, write all these things into your first movie, because then you've got a lot of support already. You've got a big part of the battle. If you know someone with a huge house and it looks amazing, well, write your film to take place in that. If you've got, use what you've kind of got. The other thing is, as a film, when you finally get to make a film, get on location straight away and know where get that first shot. what I find, happens on low budget movies or whatever, independent movies, they'll spend the first half of the day doing this one shot, and then the second half of the day is spent trying to play catch up and get it. You've got to get on location, know where your camera's going to be, get things moving, stop the makeup artist talking with the gaffer, all that stuff. Don't, so we're going to do it now. Right, we're ready. Get in costume. Get on with it. Get on with it. Because here's the thing, as a filmmaker, and I think the reason I've been able to carry on is that, I choose films that make money, commercial subjects like Escape or, things like that I've got. But is delivering. You've got to actually do it and be nice to people, be respectful to people, because we all talk behind people's backs, whether you like that or not. Everyone does. So
it's a small world.
It's a small world. If you're an a-hole, it's you shouldn't be allowed to make movies, but that news will travel fast, and you will find yourself in a corner. So be nice, be respectful, but get the job done.
Oh, that's fabulous. And lastly, from what you've said, it's really come across how important film festivals are.
It is.
Yeah. How do you choose the right film festivals?
That is a great question. Again, it sometimes comes with the seeing the buzz out there about the film festival. Because if you've got a film festival and only 3 people went last year, you know what I mean. You might want to check out what's going on. And if you guys have a great, Soho London Independent Film Festival is brilliant because you guys get people together. The other thing is that you have a lot of positive buzz about it. And it's a place people want to come because there's lovely people here, and so I would highly recommend it. Enter your film into festivals, but there are things out there. I can't even remember there's a company that has a lot of film festivals, and I can't even think of it. You probably know what it is because I haven't.
You mean like the Festival Doctor?
And people who list it and check them out and see what they've done before. See what the buzz is, because if they've posted something and there's only 3 people who reacted, or 3 people turned up, maybe that's not the festival for you. Go somewhere somewhere like this that has a lot of positive, buzz about it.
Well, I like that answer. That's a good answer.
That's it. That's what I do.
Oh, Howard, thank you so much. It's just such amazing stuff. I could listen to you all day.
My pleasure, and you.
Yeah, but it's like congratulations on yet another film. And
thank you.
I can't wait to see what you make next.
Thank you. Well, there's Escape, there's Dark Game coming up, and I've just come back from Thailand making River of Blood, a kayak movie with cannibals. So I've got 2 movies coming out in the next couple of months, and another one screening. We're getting ready for Cannes.
Oh, amazing. Right.
Thanks.
Make sure you catch Howard's films. They're brilliant. They really are. And just thank you. Thank you
for having me here.
Much.
It's been a great pleasure.
Oh, thank you.